Hey Elmers, welcome back to another edition of 13th Elm. I'm here with two of my favorite ghouls. I got Rob. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
And I got Bill.
Hi, Rob.
Yep, that's what we do, and we're here for you. This week we're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is twice as good as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rob?
At least twice as good.
Bill?
That's why it's called 2.
Arguably 2.5 times as good.
It's not
I don't
Texas
know.
Chainsaw Massacre.
I think it's
2.5.
arguably 2.5 times as good. I think I'd argue about it.
You know what?
I wouldn't argue
If
that.
you tuned into 13th and Elm this week to hear Rob and I argue, you're in luck.
That's what we do every week.
It's going to be like every other
I'll
week.
squeeze some words in.
Well, go ahead.
This movie is bonkers. The fact that it is Tobe Hooper and that people think that it's going to be a sequel, I mean,
Laughable.
I don't even know where to begin. I mean, the biggest thing here is the comedy.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is fucking funny.
So it's 1986. It's 13 or 14 years after, or 13 years after the original release.
Yeah,
Whatever.
something like that.
Something like that. There's some dispute. I guess the movie was written and filmed in 85, but it didn't come out until August of 86. So a lot of sources say it's 85. It came out in 86, and I think the original came out in 74. So all of my math is wrong, but
It's
that's
pretty
not what you
interesting.
tuned in.
Can you expand on
It's
that?
close enough.
You want to talk about it more?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess when they started filming the movie, it was in 1985, and then they like had a bunch of work done and like the acting and like they were shooting it with the cameras and
To
they put
find
it
like
on
the
film.
right like cave.
Well, they put it on the
scene.
film.
They had to
in
build that whole
1985.
system.
But then after like time had passed
Right.
into 1986,
Right.
that's when like there was distribution
It was
and theatrical
released.
releasing of the
Interesting.
film.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it turns out the film was actually shot in 1985. So that's like when they did all the acting and like they made the movie and they like put it on film was in 1985. And then like sometime after in 1986.
I feel like we're moving past it. I'm like getting confused again, but we can just get into the plot. Half this movie takes place in a cave system,
No,
which
all
I
of it
like.
took place in 1985. It
Well,
was
no,
just
no. I
released
mean,
in
the setting, not really like the physical time when it was aired. But yeah, no. This movie's nonsense, hot nonsense, which I love. Man, a lot of chainsaws right away.
You can tell that
They
Tobe
took the
Hooper-
feedback of not enough chainsaws and like, let's put all the
Exactly.
chainsaws in there.
They're like, we are definitely not getting that same complaint for this because it's a chainsaw store,
Right.
complete with a log out front that you can test
You
them
can test
on.
it on as long as you put down $900 and $100 bills on the cashier stump.
Yes, and then you just hack away at that thing.
Am I too loud? Is this too loud?
You're pretty loud.
You're very loud, but
Well, I thought we got levels earlier, so I'm sorry.
yeah, you're just so fired up about the film. That's okay.
It just so happened that when we were getting levels, you hadn't yet decided to start screaming your opinions on the fucking
the
cashier
opposite
stuff.
of-
Cashier stump. All I'm saying is
Um,
like, wow. The lieutenant. He's lieutenant of what? What is he? He's
I
a
don't-
marshal?
I don't know because it kind of seems like he's kind of acting on his own. He doesn't have permission from like the local police department
He's not
to
wearing.
investigate.
He's not like wearing a star. He doesn't like flash his badge.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if he's like an ex-detective that is just obsessed with the case.
Oh, no, his brother is Franklin. Franklin's his brother,
Yeah.
right? That's like the whole bit.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Like, oh,
I
your
think-
brother got killed. That was all the way in South Texas. This is
I
different.
totally missed that, so that makes sense.
Which
then.
makes
what
Sally
happened
his
later.
brother as well.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
well, his sister, rather.
Yeah.
Whoa!
But yeah, he's 5'1" and he's mad and he's gonna find answers.
Speak up a little.
Okay.
Yeah, so this movie, it is just absolutely bonkers, as we mentioned before. And it's like kind of all takes place around like this DJ, like this radio station DJ. And
Yeah.
like, the opening scene is like these two boys on a road trip for the Oklahoma Sooners Texas Longhorn football like rivalry game.
They keep calling in and kind of harassing her.
Hook 'em by the horns.
They're driving down I-10 for like 9 hours from mid-morning till dusk.
Which
They're-
you can do.
You totally can. It's not like that's an unreasonable thing you could do.
What else are they doing on that road trip?
Oh, they're firing a
Normal.
45 Magnum or 44 Magnum like randomly at street signs. One of them is
beers.
wearing like holographic prank glasses that you would get at like a cheap Halloween store, and chugging Shiner Bock. Oh man.
Yeah, that opening was
And
great. Reminded me of so many road trips I've been on.
you'd think they'd be in like some shitty pickup truck peeling paint. Nope, they're in like a brand new
Well,
Mercedes
I got the
convertible with a car phone.
I got the
Yeah.
idea that they were like rich, snobby kids.
I mean, he's wearing like a yellow sweater over a polo. Yeah, you know
yeah,
he's rich.
like you can tell they're not worried about getting in trouble with the law because, I don't know, because daddy would pay for it or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then pretty much out of nowhere,
Well, they cut this guy. They start
Well-
playing chicken on the road. With a
As
truck.
you do. Oh yeah, it's
Well, they
another
come
thing.
across like a bridge, right? And the dude like pulls in the middle of the road.
They're like, yeah, we're already drunk and shooting this gun off. Let's try to start an accident by just playing chicken with this random truck.
As he drives in reverse.
No,
Yeah.
this is before they get to the bridge, though. They're playing chicken.
That's
He cuts
that's
him
right.
off.
That's right.
And then, like, later, this truck shows up on the bridge and, like, cuts him off. And they're like, what the hell,
What the
pig
hell,
fucker?
man? You
That
pig
damn
fucker!
Pig fucker.
Yeah, and then the truck throws it in reverse, and we get our first look at what we might assume at this point in the film is Leatherface. And he looks like shit.
It's a
You're
pretty
like,
safe assumption.
well, you're like,
Well, he's
what
like
is
holding
this, like,
something.
oh, it looks like a fucking puppet on a stick.
It
But then
Yeah.
you realize,
it looks like a fancy Halloween display out front in your yard.
yeah, and you're like, dude, this is different. And then one of the boys shoots the mag off at him and hits him in the head, and it knocks back the dummy's head and reveals actual Leatherface. And he's like,
Mhm.
been like just throwing around this little meat puppet and trying to scare these boys. And then
Yeah.
he actually pulls out the chainsaw and starts cutting through
Yeah.
their car. All
He's
the
not-
time, the boys are on the phone with Stretch, the local
Yes.
DJ from KOKLA.
Yeah, and they're screaming, and we get the chainsaw going through the car, and this is first bit of gore, which was fun. Little top of the head sliced off.
Yeah.
And
Of
then
one
the,
of
like,
them,
Trying to like
Skull-
hold it together.
The skull like slides off and it just gets like the squirts.
and squirts up top.
It's good.
Yeah, and that's all recorded on tape at the studio, and I mean she's freaking out at this point and trying to call Lefty.
Law enforcer, or law
That wasn't that his name,
Yeah.
or like what she called him.
She doesn't call. Well, she doesn't know him yet, right? It's just she's trying to like call the police or whatever. And then I think after he hears it, he's showing up because
Oh,
he
yeah, he
thinks
just
that
shows
like
up.
this is connected to the murders of Franklin and everything from the original film.
And she's like, "There's no way that's possible. That happened 14 years ago in southern Texas."
Yeah.
That was actually the other police
like the
officer.
state police
Oh.
officer or whatever.
Well, and I don't know how, but like he's like in the hotel room somehow, and like she shows up with a newspaper clipping, and she's like, "I think I have the answers here,"
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's
that's
like,
right.
"You saw it?" And he's like, "No, I didn't see it, but
Oh
I
yeah,
heard it. I'm a witness."
She's
or
like, I'm a witness, but I don't know why she shows up or knows how he's there or who he is.
I bet we could have figured that out if we talked
If-
less, but we didn't. And I've seen this movie like 5 times, and I couldn't tell you how.
So it's
to
pretty
get-
memorable.
It's just not important to the plot.
But then, yeah, she, excuse me, she does the smart thing and decides to play the tape on the air every hour,
Hour on the hour for 2 days.
and for the hopes that
7-minute long clip of these two
Of
boys
two
dying.
young men
listening
dying.
to 2 people getting murdered.
Not only that, but it's like chock full of obscenities. Like the very first
Dude.
line of the tape is like,
motherfucker,
"Yeah, pig shit."
And she even says like, I don't know about the FCC, you know. And he's like, just do it for me as a favor. She's like, okay.
It's like, yeah, I just met you. That's fine.
You know, I think the reason why she runs into him,
Like, I
At
don't
the
think you
hotel-
could even play black music on white radio stations back then. So
in Texas, I'm
I
not
don't
sure
think that's
you-
allowed even now.
Wolf. I think she runs into the sheriff when he's at the hotel, and the hotel is hosting the Oklahoma-Texas Chili Cook-Off Championship.
Oh.
Right, because the Oklahoma-Texas game is basically like a lawless Mad Max scenario where everyone just gets drunk in the streets and there's mayhem
They're
going
not even
on.
there for football.
I mean, that's
It's
probably
insane.
pretty accurate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely. They suspend habeas corpus. It's like a Purge movie, but with more square dancing
and more chili.
and bigotry and chili
Lots of chili.
And more chainsaws.
and chainsaws.
So how about that chili trophy real quick?
Oh,
Oh,
man!
my God,
How they just
beautiful
like
trophy.
slopping it in there.
And
God, then that chili does not look good.
It looked like brown chunk
Looks like
water.
diarrhea.
Yeah. Yep. I wasn't gonna say it, but thank you.
I'll say it.
I do like
I'll say the D
diarrhea.
word.
Say it. What did it look like, Bill?
Diarrhea.
That is true.
Um,
And then Drayton
it's-
Sawyer wins, of course.
The cook.
Yep, the cook is, and he's the only returning cast member from the first
Right.
movie.
Franklin's at the end.
Well, he's not the actor, but the character.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
And what a classic Texan name of Drayton. God, I know so many Draytons.
You grew up with a lot of
I
Draytons?
could count them on 2 hands and 2 feet.
go ahead.
Drayton Senior, Drayton Junior, Drayton Third, Drayton the Fourth.
All right. Damn, you're right.
Joe Bob Briggs was in this movie.
What?
He
Hold on.
plays Gonzo Moviegoer, a cameo.
A moviegoer?
Who in the
this?
fuck was there a movie?
A movie.
Did they go to the theater at one point? I don't remember that.
I don't recall any theater action. God
No.
damn it! I'm gonna have to watch
We'll
this
have to
movie and
more
look for Joe
No,
Bob.
pop it on right now. Put it back
Yeah,
on.
well, I actually will. Well, you
Pop-
guys
pop that back on.
carry this fucking podcast
Yeah,
for a little
pull
bit
it
as
up
you
on your
always do.
phone.
Just watch as you get to
So,
Joe
I
Bob.
mean, of course, playing the tape of 2 young men getting murdered every hour. God, I don't remember his name, but the
Chop Top.
no, the cook. It's the cook on the way home from Chile.
Drayton.
Oh, Drayton.
Oh,
Sawyer.
I guess he gets like a call. Everyone's got these
Yeah, and they're
car
like
phones.
tune in. Everyone has a car phone.
Yes.
He's driving like a fucking semi van food truck thing.
And he's doing something with his other hand. The point is, he's not anywhere near the steering wheel when he's driving.
Where he's like talking on the phone, and like pulling the antenna out, and like, what are you talking about?
And he hears it and knows that they're caught. So I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, and you send Bubba and Chop Top over to the studio, which is a crazy scene.
Okay, all of this is nonsense because they definitely didn't get caught. It just got recorded with like no identifying information.
Yeah, it's just the sound of a chainsaw.
If they hadn't gone to the radio station, they would have been fine. Like no one would have ever found out who they were or where they were.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense, but better safe than sorry.
Are you really watching this movie right now on your phone?
No, but I am gonna tell you about what happens here. Okay, so Joe Bob plays this Gonzo moviegoer in what was ultimately a deleted scene, which culminates with the Sawyer family harvesting more meat for their chili cook-off by going to a local theater and slaughtering a bunch of moviegoers. And
Sounds
Joe
great.
Bob plays Gonzo moviegoer, and he can't help but admire all the handiwork of Leatherface. So he's just sitting there and he's like, oh, well, that's great. And that's the scene that didn't make it in the movie. It's like 1 minute and 40 seconds long, and that's how he ends up with the credit in that.
I kind of wish I was in the movie. I'd love to see Leatherfaces go ham in a movie theater.
Yeah, that would be really good. I'm not going to touch that, actually. So, yeah, what fucking Mosley shows up, or Bill Mosley as Chop Top, who
Yes.
is Leatherface's brother, apparently. But, I mean, is he the brother from the first movie, like the photographer?
He's like
I
playing
don't know
that
if
kind
he's
of character.
supposed to be the same guy, but
he's got the same mannerisms.
I don't know that it matters.
yeah, but he doesn't have that. He's got like a huge birthmark on his face
Right.
in the original, right? And I would assume if they wanted the audience to think it was the same guy,
well,
they
they
would
would've
have
at
at
least
least
given him, like,
done
Yeah,
that.
but he's still like
camera or something?
laughing like an idiot and like has some of the same like I don't know.
Yeah, he's way more over the top.
Crazy.
In this, though,
Yeah.
if it is the same character.
Well, that she's his fave, so you know.
He delivers so many good lines in this fucking movie.
Yeah, mostly talking about the metal plate that he has in his head.
Oh, you dented my plate and knocked off my Sonny Bono wig, dude. God damn it.
Gotta go back to the VA.
Don't lick this plate, you dog dick.
Dog will hunt. He says some
And he's-
wild ass shit.
he's
Ho
also-
Chi Minh.
Yeah,
Why
Ho
is he
Chi
talking about Ho
Minh.
Chi Minh?
I don't know.
Because he was a Nam.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is also like 1986. But I guess 7. Oh, Nam flashback, Nam flashback.
He's got like a metal, like he's got a metal, like cloth
Oh,
hook
yes,
that he's
I
like
forgot
scratching
about that.
himself with.
He
and, like,
heats it up with a lighter.
Yeah, and then it's like eating it. Like
Hey,
what?
do you, really quick, what do you call what you hang your clothes
Clothes
on?
hanger?
A clothes hook?
Clothes hanger.
There's a clothes
He's
hanger.
got a metal clothes hook.
But yeah, that
Same thing.
You know,
You know what it meant.
I did. Because I watched the movie.
Yeah, he's picking. He like uses it to pick at the side of his
Only
brain
after he
that's
heats it up with
visible
a
around
lighter.
the plate,
Yep.
and like a part of it falls off, so he eats it.
It's a ridiculous fucking character, and he's my favorite. He says some
He's wearing like a
wild
leather
shit.
jacket with a bunch of like pins with sayings on them. Very, very hippie dip.
Like peace signs and
Yeah.
like fucking all sorts of like tie dye and smiley faces and shit. And he's got that ridiculous wig on for like the first 10, 15 minutes that you meet him.
Every time he's scratching with the
So,
Clothes
clothing hook.
so he's screaming that Stretch, our favorite local DJ from
He
KOKLA,
wants a tour.
and he wants a tour. Yeah, so she gives him a tour that ends at the exit. This is what she says.
The tour is great. She says, "Here's a lamp.
Here's Rubber Man,
There's the exit."
Rolodex. Now get out of here. And right around that time, boom, Leatherface comes in with the fucking chainsaw. Dings
Not
his-
me, you idiot.
Dings his brother in the head with the fucking
In his-
chainsaw.
in his
Bounces
metal
off his plate.
Mhm.
Oh, you dented my plate.
And so it's killing LG.
LG.
God, these names.
Yeah, these names are.
And
So
that's not like
LG
LGELGY. This is LG.
Who's Stretch's
Coworker?
boyfriend?
No, they're like coworkers. He's like trying to hit that, and
This
she's
is-
like, "I'm going out." It's like, "Oh, with that boy."
They have a
Oh,
little.
god damn it!
They have a little. Well, they won't. They
They do
Like,
not.
don't they say
They have a will he she won't.
don't they say I
You need
love
to
you?
speak up.
Don't they say I love you to each other at the end?
Well, I
Well,
think
he's
I mean,
dying.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't say I love you to someone that was dying that I
Well,
didn't
like-
love.
Well, but not like romantically, like platonically.
I don't know. I think something was going on.
I mean, you're not gonna like
But
fuck your
anyway.
dad.
Do you love
but
me?
If he's dying, you'd
Bill?
be like, "I love you, Dad."
Do you love me?
Huh?
Do you
No.
love-
Bill, do you love me?
Yes.
What the fuck? Well, I guess you have a chance. Makes sense.
But anyway, LG gets it pretty bad in the tummy.
And the face.
And the effects are decent.
Mail time.
I
Fucking
forgot
dude,
about that.
He's so good. Chop Top
Couple of mail times.
is oh man. Chop
What
Top
else?
mostly
What's
feels
what's
like-
his favorite word? Oh yeah, coon shit.
No, that's not Chop Top.
Yes, it
That's-
is.
No,
Yes,
that's
it
the
is.
cook.
Oh no, that's the cook. That's the cook.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
Drayton.
yeah, Drayton.
Chop Top is a fucking hippie. He's not a fucking racist.
I mean,
Yes, he is.
those are not mutually exclusive.
No, but what I said happens to be true.
This is true. I've known some racist ass wooks.
mm-hmm.
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 And honestly, this is the scene that gets to the part of this movie that I do not like, and that's Leatherface showing emotion.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Because that's one of the reasons why the original is so terrifying. Is he obviously has no disregard for life. Same thing with Michael, and like that's why these monsters are so scary. But then like immediately she's like, "Stop. You don't want to do this." Like he was a good boy, like almost talking to him like a dog.
Like a
And
child.
like he
Tries to fuck her with a chainsaw.
yes, which might be the best part in the movie.
It's a good part. It's iconic for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the things that I. Okay, so the first time I ever saw this movie, it was with a good buddy of mine who's also a horror fanatic. We were like 12 or something like that, and we
Aw.
rented it to watch this movie, and we're like, "Oh, there's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2." It's like before like fucking internet and shit. Like I don't know, just walking through the video store and saw it for the first time, and we're like, let's get it. Took it home for the like pizza party, slumber party weekend, whatever.
That's like what we did tonight, pizza party.
Pizza party.
Yeah, it is like what we did tonight. Anyway, so we're watching it, and I remember thinking like at first on the couch or on the truck when Leatherface
Bed.
pops up, we're like, what the fuck? This is kind of lame. And they're like, oh, okay, maybe I get it. And then we're, like 20, 30 more minutes go by. And when he shows up and starts to like split her legs with the fucking chainsaw, I remember us both being like, this is fucking stupid. Like, we didn't get it, that it was like a comedy.
Yeah.
And we had different expectations. And honestly, for the like 10 years after that, I had a real sour taste from this movie in my mouth.
Really?
And then I started watching it again, like mid-20s. And then like a couple years ago is like when I fully started to embrace this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the chainsaw is his penis. It's an extension of himself. And he is gently caressing her up her leg with it, which I was hoping for a way more graphic kill coming. I thought, you know what I'm talking about. I thought that thing was going in and getting turned on. I was getting excited. I was getting turned on. But no, he kind of just drives that thing home and then just kind of shoots a load.
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say it.
I don't like this. Did he just come? Yeah, he did.
I mean,
love
I
this.
was.
It was really fun to watch both of you watch this.
It was.
Actually. I was cracking up.
That was the last thing I thought was going to happen, probably. So.
Were you happy that it happened?
Yes. Yes.
Rob, were you happy?
Don't be sad that it's gone. Be happy that it happened.
Were you happy when you saw this scene?
And I don't know about happy, but I mean, it was a spectacle. I don't know. This film was a lot more fun to watch. So much more fun to watch. More kills, more chainsaw, more nonsense. A lot of cave crawling.
Oh my god!
Oh
Christmas,
my God. I
so
mean,
many
this-
Christmas lights.
Where were they?
Oh man, I don't know.
Oh, the
Doesn't
Texas
matter.
Battleground.
They're the
You mean-
Texas Battleground
Which is a huge underground cave system.
under the Alamo that everyone knows about.
Remember, don't ever forget.
Davy Crockett hid for 4 weeks 1,000 yards below ground in the Texas Battlegrounds.
Where is the Alamo?
San Antonio.
And they're in Dallas? Or north
They
of Dallas?
are in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Right, so did they go all the way down to
Dallas,
San Antonio without
the
us knowing?
Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex encompasses about 1,000 square miles.
Sure,
Yep.
I'm down with it.
So it encompaces Austin,
Makes
Houston,
Hermosillo,
Yep. Brownsville,
fucking Bismarck, North Dakota,
Mexico City,
1,000 square mile fucking metroplex.
Quito.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. He kind of runs away after she calls him out, and like, I don't know. She kind of gets wise to what she's doing, and like figures that she can like manipulate him, and like, are you a good boy type of weird shit.
You a good little pig.
And then he runs away, and I don't know. Drayton and his brother Chop Top are under the assumption that he killed her.
Well, yeah, you
What
get
they
that.
ask you,
Did
you
you get
you
that
kill
bitch?
that bitch, Bubba. You kill her. You kill her good, Bubba.
Yeah, he's all fucking weird about it. And so then we're falling apart at the seams. This movie is even more ridiculous than we're making it out to be. Anyway,
How many times do you think we stopped this film?
3, 4 times.
I mean, we
Four
had ad
times.
breaks. Does that count?
Bathroom, coffee, pizza, ads, chicken.
Chicken.
Chicken. We had a chicken break.
Oh,
Yeah, so they leave the job well done, so they think.
Right.
And what happens after
Oh,
that?
doesn't Leatherface like put a face on her?
well, this
Doesn't-
is later.
That's a little
He's
later, but
jumping
Okay.
yeah,
around. Come on, we got Lefty in here somewhere.
I'm sorry, I forgot that we're sticking to a strict schedule of shot
Yeah, I
for
thought we
shot.
was not supposed to go in order. But what does happen after that? I don't even remember. Like,
Well, she's like stuck there by herself, and they all
Right.
leave, and then she gets in the. She chases after him.
Oh.
She's like, "Lefty, you never
Wait.
came," and she gets in the car and chases after him.
we don't have to go into detail, but I do want to talk about how he tried to use his chainsaw to get through that steel door for like 10 minutes, and then ended up just
Oh,
running
yeah.
through the wall.
like a 2.5 inch thick steel door.
And then he just Kool-Aid Man's the other wall.
He does. I forgot about
He
Kool-Aid
just
Man.
leaps right through it.
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
wall's literally paper thin because you could tell that it was literally paper.
It's wet drywall.
Is that wet? Yeah.
Not the wettest movie we've seen.
No, a lot of dry mouths. A lot
Chop
of spitting indoors.
Yes.
Hawk.
LG loves
Ugh.
to just spit loogies on the ground of the studio
In
in
the
which he works
studio.
at.
So perplexed as to why he can't get laid.
Why this girl's not into it.
So she chases them down
right,
in the
yeah.
car, and
Mhm.
then they end up at the Texas battleground.
Right.
Then, and she gets out of her car
By
and-
herself.
and starts running after them in a fucking truck through this like weird
They had
archway.
those- yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then a car starts chasing her from behind, and so she's like the meat in this automobile sandwich, and she's like, "Oh my god!" Blah 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 blah, and then the car behind stops, and she starts freaking out, and all of a sudden you hear "Stretch," and it's Lefty,
It's Lefty, yeah.
who's Dennis Hopper, who's
It was a terrible accent,
S-
terrible Texas accent.
Yeah,
in
he's
this
not
movie.
good in this.
I would argue that he's great, but not because
You'd be
he's-
wrong. You can argue
Not
that.
because he has a good performance or does well at the job he was given, but
It's
like,
mostly the chainsaw bandoliers.
oh my god, his
Oh.
costume once he gets down.
Mm.
Okay, so she gets she stops running and realizes that it's Dennis Hopper screaming at her, and she turns around, and then, mind you, we are outside in like a fucking field when a trapdoor opens up underneath her.
Yeah, she falls
yeah,
through the booby trap.
That's where we got to the cave.
That's
I
how
did
we
not
got in the
understand why that existed.
Yeah, it's
In
And it
case
was
something
like-
like this occurs.
and it was like a long fall.
Well,
like she
that
tumbles for a
incident-
while,
it
and then it's like
slide.
a slide and like
And
tubes.
tree roots and like all this
yeah,
other stuff. It's
like,
like
they are deep.
well, just in case we chase somebody 3/4 of a mile through this weird open tunnel we have, they'll fall through a trap door.
Right.
But then
and,
also, like, they had
and
no
so-
idea where she was either. Like,
No.
they didn't like
I
know
mean,
that
it's
trapdoor spot.
think
It's
that's- I-
fucking huge.
I think they fell into Fraggle Rock. I think that's where they were ended up at.
Dude, I think you nailed it when you said that it's One-Eyed Willie's fucking
It's
treasure
the
cove.
Goonies,
Yeah.
man, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, but so she's hiding down there where she gets to see LG
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she finds
Um,
LG.
Faceless
gets
LG.
not
well
quite
she gets to
faceless yet.
watch Leatherface go to work.
He starts
He's taking
flaying
off.
his legs. And remember we were
Yeah,
talking about
skinning
human
him.
cracklings?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Would
This
you-
this scene will make you hungry.
Elmers, if you would eat human cracklings, let us know in the comments. Yay or nay?
Yay or nay?
Human crackling. And I'll say it right now. If we get 25 yays, I'll flay my thigh skin and send you a crackling of my own.
You heard it here.
Just give me your address and I'll send you parts of my body that I cook. Rob
And
Bill,
that's all
you
the
gonna
time.
contribute?
No.
Would you eat me, Rob?
No.
What if I came with a cool dip?
Okay.
All right.
back to the film? So she gets caught in hiding. She's doing a good job, and then she knocks over a pile of metal.
Yeah, just like scrap metal. Yeah.
This room is full of like hanging body parts and
This room is
knives
full
and
of all
metal.
sorts of stuff. Like
There's
there's
chainsaws, body
the
parts,
dried up corpses, Christmas lights,
Halloween or Christmas decorations.
yeah, fake cobweb. I think it's actually a lot of decorations. There's Halloween decorations mixed with actual dead bodies, mixed with Christmas lights. It's insane.
It's like a combination of the witch Haggis's house and the basement of Jeepers Creepers
And fucking Santa's workshop.
in
and
the North Pole.
and a Fallout game. Like it's insane.
It's nuts, but
It's
I mean,
also kinda hot.
Well, it's humid in there.
Leatherface
getting
finds
fucked
her after she knocks over the metal. And same
And
kind of thing. She's like,
"Oh,
you don't
help
want to
me.
do this.
You
Help.
love me.
So he takes LG's face that he just removed from him and puts it on her.
After tying her elbows loosely together.
And her only complaint is, "Oh, but it's wet."
Oh yeah. She's like, oh, it's it's wet.
It's
Ugh."
wet.
And then he puts his cowboy hat on her too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
That's
she
right.
hops around with LG's face in a cowboy hat for a while.
And then LG is not dead.
Well, hold
Oh
on.
my God.
Hold on.
I forgot about that.
Leatherface is like sitting there and he's trying to talk to her and shit. And then there's a squabble in the other room between Drayton and Chop Top.
Oh yes.
And they're like, "What's taking your brother so long? God damn it, I need that good meat." And meanwhile, Dennis Hopper, Lefty, has run down into the fucking into the
with
cave
3 chainsaws.
and 2 chainsaw chain equipped
Bandoliers.
and he's tear it down, tear it all down.
He spends approximately 2.5 hours cutting down support beams throughout this mine shaft.
No one hears
Secret
that
hideout.
either. He's just full sprinting.
Well, like a chainsaw is a familiar sound down there. It wouldn't stand out, right?
I guess that's true, but they're all in like kind of the
same
same
room.
area.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. Yeah, he's like full speed running. Every time he sees a support beam, he just
Well,
cuts
that
it in half and just keeps running.
again, like he's running deeper and deeper into the cave and cutting support beams.
yeah.
Otherwise, like, dude, you're gonna die. Like, you're
He
gonna
didn't care. He
collapse
didn't
this
care.
on top
he
of
wanted
yourself.
to redeem
I
his,
think
he
it's-
wanted to avenge his brother.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was a
Right.
more like, if I can kill them all, then I'll die with it kind of thing. But
So the place is beginning to like crumble a little bit, and like the family doesn't quite know why, but they've like, all acknowledged it, and so like, "We gotta find your brother." So they go into the butchering room, right? And they're like,
Right.
"Come on, Leatherface, let's get out of here." And they leave behind Stretch and the corpse of LG. Turns out, though, as we spoiled alert, LG's not dead. He sits up and he's like, "Oh, Stretch, baby," with some shit like that.
yeah, so he has taken like 15 blows to the head with a mallet and his face cut off and
His
like
Yep.
80%
belly's
of
cut.
his
He's
skin
been
cut off.
flayed.
All
And
his
he's-
like
and
his
he's-
like chest is like you can see his ribs and stuff.
He's
yeah.
walking around and talking.
How conservatively, how deep underground do you think they are at this point?
70 feet.
70 feet.
Oh
Okay.
no, man!
You think more? Deeper?
Yeah, deeper.
Because 70 feet's like what? 3 stories? 4 stories? 3 stories?
Sure. 3
This
doors
was just
down?
one story. It was the second part of this.
No, but like 70 feet. Like,
yeah, it's probably about 70 feet.
Yeah.
I'd say. 4 to say.
okay. 4 to say.
So yeah, they're underground, and she's tied up. And luckily, though, LG finds one of the several butcher knives that are laying about.
So many objects around that can cut rope.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and like he just cuts the rope. Chink. It's really easy and simple, but like he looks like
It's
he's
not
gonna
that easy because if you remember how he held that knife and did it,
Like, yeah, I mean the actual cutting of the rope was pretty.
he was
easy.
like, "Ugh."
And then he falls over and
beep,
dies.
beep,
He
beep,
goes, "I'm
and then
dying
he-
on your stretch." Falls out.
he finally fucking dies.
But then she and him have kind of a tender moment, as you mentioned.
As she puts his face back on.
Yeah, she
Him?
takes
Oh,
his
yeah.
face off of her face and puts it back on his face, and then puts his hat on his chest and says, "I love you."
I really wanted a kiss. Oh, there
Oh, come here.
too.
Oh,
Because I mean, how this movie was going, I would not have been surprised if she slapped a face on there and then just gave him a nice little smooch. But we didn't get that.
no, we didn't. She runs out of the room, and she's in the crazy Christmas cave tunnel,
Yes.
and the infrastructure is crumbling, as the subtitles
Isn't-
noted.
Isn't there a point where like Leatherface is chasing her and then like the whole fucking ceiling comes down?
Well, he comes out and gets caught in the chandelier.
One of the many chandeliers.
How many
yeah, lots of
chandeliers? They have?
underground-
Well, I mean, they're
you
far
know,
underground.
I'd
I'd
Like,
say probably 40.
5.
Yeah, 40, 45 maybe. It seems like about every 10 to 12 feet there's a
I mean,
chandelier.
there's chandeliers made
I mean,
out of wood.
they're-
There's chandeliers made out of pewter. They're-
Miles of fairy
Pewter.
lights strung among
There's-
all
oh,
of
yeah.
these large tunnels. I mean, these tunnels have like 20-foot high ceilings. It's insane. It had to be a natural cavern. That's the only thing that makes sense. But even that doesn't make sense because this movie doesn't make sense.
Oh, it makes
Yeah, it's
perfect
like
sense. They're in the Texas battleground.
it's so large that it's impossible to imagine how it has not been discovered by other people.
You know, the more we talk about this, I feel like that this movie might take place in the Trimmers universe.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say outside of the space and time continuum.
I
or
mean,
something.
I'm not saying that. All I'm
Do
saying
you want to
is,
get
like,
into the Tremors thing?
I think that Kevin Bacon might be on the surface level, like tracking all of these explosions. And,
He's hearing the movements,
and
thinking
the
it's
movements
another
of them cutting
tremor?
support beams. Yeah,
Well, do you remember when
jumping on top of rocks.
they hit the? They did puncture the water tower in this movie.
Did they?
No.
I was like, I don't remember
I
that.
don't remember
We weren't
that.
really paying attention, but I don't remember that part.
So, but they do corner stretch.
Yes.
Leatherface corner stretch in the tunnel after she's like trying to escape, and he finds her again, and they chase her down, and then all of a sudden he's making noise, and he's getting back into his weird chainsaw sex act, and she's like, "No, don't you want to be a good boy and all that shit?"
Aren't you a
and
good
then
boy?
Drayton, the cook, and Chop Top show up, and they're like, "I thought you
Kill
killed
that bitch.
and blah 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 blah. And then he's like, "Oh, I get it, you love her. Well, you can have sex or the saw." And
The
sex.
Saw is the family.
Yeah, he's like, "Sex. Well, nobody knows about that, but the saw, the saw's family."
I like that they admit that they're a family of incels and they don't know what sex is,
And
so
then
they
he goes,
murder
sex,
women.
SCEX.
Sex. Dude,
Sexy,
there's
sexy.
so
And
many
Chop
good-
Top's going, Bubba's got a girlfriend.
He's
Bubba's
going
got a
fucking
girlfriend.
nuts
While
right
while
here.
he's using a human corpse puppet the
Yeah.
whole time, he's got like a corpse that he's like mouthing around. It's insane.
This whole shit, and like, meanwhile, it's just Christmas lights fucking everywhere.
Everywhere.
And chandeliers, and she is fucking crying. She is doing some of the best acting in the series. In the series.
Well, they're like, Grandpa, he's a one-hit wonder, and then Grandpa,
Oh, thank
in
God Grandpa's
grand
back.
tradition of the original film, misses about 4 or 5 times.
How old is Grandpa in this?
137 years old, I
137.
believe.
I
Yeah.
loved that they almost just recreated the exact scene of holding the girl above the bucket because you hated that part so
so
much.
bad.
So I was so happy
Was
that
it better
you
in this
got
one?
to
It was
see
better this time because
again.
there's more of like a comedy kind of bent to the whole movie. So the fact that this is an insane nonsense scene and ridiculous plays better.
Do you think?
And then he just fucking stands up.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he just stands up.
Yeah,
like
he
Lefty.
does.
Do you think that the scene in the first movie would have been better if everything was the same except you just added Lefty in there with a chainsaw cutting the foundation out for the house? Like, what?
In the background, you just see him running around.
And then but just a scene, and then they never address that the rest of the film.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Would have made just as much sense as most of this movie, right?
I mean, this movie is a better film.
Well, Lefty shows up and has the chainsaw fight with Leatherface.
Yes.
And
He's singing, bringing in the sheaves when he's like, and he's like, it's like a classic action movie where he's like down the tunnel and like whistling and like singing and like coming slowly. It's like bringing
like,
in
you
the
see
sheaves.
his shadow and hear his song before you see him.
It's all echoing, yeah.
And she's
great.
like finally cut free. She being Stretch is finally cut free when he has a moment to chainsaw her fucking like arm restraints or whatever, and she scurries away. And the battle continues. And Chop Top gives Grandpa a hammer to defend himself, and then fucking Lefty puts the fucking chainsaw halfway up Drayton's asshole.
and he lives somehow.
Yeah.
And he goes underneath the table like a dog. He's chasing his tail around, moving around in
right,
circles.
the asshole.
And then what happens, Bill?
This is my second favorite part. He's like, "Oh, it got rid of my hams."
Save me a trip to
Say
the
we
doctor.
to the doctor.
Just saying that the chainsaw going up his ass obliterated his hemorrhoids.
Dude, and then he starts rooting around in his fucking ass and brings out his like bloody mitts afterwards. He's all fucking... He's got like polyps and shit in his hand after he pulls his hand out of his ass crack.
This movie is still pretty gross. Not as
Oh, it's
gross as the
gross.
first one, but like the setting and stuff and like all the dead shit around and
There's a lot more gore.
and Yeah.
There's infinitely more gore in this film.
Well, I mean, again, like that. I mean, what was most of the negative feedback that the first one got was
it was
there's
bad,
only
and boring,
one
and stupid.
chainsaw kill, and there was like no blood,
And no hemorrhoids.
and there's not a single hemorrhoid or a cum shot.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, the gore was good. There was some solid kills. I mean, most of them were pretty similar, just chainsaw to the gut.
Yeah, but you actually see it instead
you
of
get to
like
see it.
seeing someone from behind and like they're getting stabbed in the gut, but you see them from the shoulders up, like shaking.
But how
Yeah.
about Leatherface getting a fucking chainsaw straight through the gut? And
Yeah.
then,
Still fighting with it.
and
Pretty
then with
intense,
Dennis Hopper,
man.
he
He
lefty,
pulls the two pistol chainsaws out of the holsters.
dude.
Yeah.
He's got like full on it's like half thigh length buckskin.
They're not. No, they're those are leather. Those are tanned leather.
What do you
not
think you make?
buckskin's
fucking-
like soft and like it's. I mean, it is leather, but it's not buckskin.
Back to the movie. Yeah. So this whole fucking scene is crazy. Oh, also, whenever he can find time, he's going back to them fucking support beams.
Oh yeah. No, this is like that final battle in a video game where you're trying to kill the boss, but also destroy all the environmental things that are like keeping his whatever phylactery alive. So you got to destroy the rest.
Phylactery, nice.
Yeah, good word drop.
Yeah, can't kill Leatherface until you destroy all the support beams.
The support beams, which all have 48 HP, I think.
I mean, he's cutting through them like butter.
Yes,
It's not taking any time
they're
at all.
dried out.
And so I think we're under the assumption that Leatherface dies, but we all know that's not true because I mean there's
a
a
third one, right?
and a fourth, and then
I mean, we
there's,
know this family does not go down easily. I mean,
Grandpa's
Grandpa's
137
years
and
old.
He chucks that
and
hammer.
Grandma
Oh,
is
Grandma's
upstairs in,
she's a
in
raisin.
chainsaw heaven.
She's in chainsaw heaven. I forgot about that.
You
killed her.
Which is she alive?
No, she's
I
definitely
kinda
dead.
Thought she moved.
She kind of looked like
I
it, but it
th-
also looked like the prop might have just been getting
I
bumped
thought
around.
I thought she
Yeah,
was dried
probably.
out and like was
But-
starting to break apart and her head fell down. I thought that's what it was.
So I think Leatherface, quote unquote, dies with the chainsaw in his belly.
Yeah.
Then Drayton bleeds out from his fucking
Hemorrhoids.
hemorrhoid injury underneath the table, and Stretch runs up into Grandma's room, chainsaw heaven, and she's there all metastasized and fossilized and fucking crippled and whatnot. Around this time or sometime prior, I think Lefty has found the
Frankie,
body
or
of Franklin.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's like,
the corpse.
I love you, Franklin. We're
With
getting
the
out to shoot
flashlight.
Bubba and shit. Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
it's just the
batteries just
skeleton
happened
in
to
the
die.
wheelchair.
Still work like 17 years later.
And then I think he just keeps cutting down all the support beams until it ultimately collapses, and maybe that's how Drayton goes. It doesn't matter. What matters is Stretch is up there with Grandma, and Chop Top comes and follows her, and she pulls the chainsaw away from Grandma, killing her apparently. And then Chop Top's like, "Oh my God, what the fuck?" And they do this little scurry up the stairway, right?
Yep.
Yeah, back up above ground.
Yep. She finally gets into daylight, and they have like a little stairway fight for a little while. And she ends
kicks
up
him off.
kicking him off, and he's like hanging on the rails. And
Do we ever see? Does he fall, or do we ever see?
let's just say, yeah,
Sure.
Sure,
move on.
he probably falls.
He falls. I don't think he would have fallen far enough to like kill him, but whatever.
No.
That cave was again.
They were
Pretty
above
deep.
and on the outside, but maybe if he fell into
Yeah.
the cave, he's fucked. He's got like a 2-mile fall.
Easily.
He's 2 miles.
He's gonna get lava at the bottom.
He's gonna die before he hits the ground of old age.
And then he falls, and everybody's dead and trapped in the Texas Battleground underground cave system or whatever.
Yeah.
And Stretch is up there recreating the end of the first movie with the chainsaw dance sequence.
Yeah, she's doing like interpretive dance
Yeah, just
for
like-
whatever reason.
Which I don't know how I felt about that. I liked how it was a nod to the first one, but I don't know. It was a little goofy.
Oh,
But, I
that
mean,
was
this
a little
movie
goofy.
is
That
goofy,
was it took you
so-
out right there.
No, that's why. Yeah, that ruined it for me.
This was
And then that was credits right there, right? We get the
Yeah.
little
Yeah,
dance and then credits.
immediately after.
And I mean, I really thought for sure that you were gonna like this movie more than the first one, Rob. But then I gotta admit, I spent the whole last week going, he might really hate this movie. Actually, like it is so fucking ludicrous. And I was like, but that's got to be the hook, right? And I was thinking to myself, more chainsaws, more gore, more quotes, just over the fucking top. At very least, he's gonna have strong opinions about it, and I hope that they're positive. So, like, you know who we are, and we love the first one so much. You weren't so hot on it. Give me a couple sentences. What'd you think of the second one? I mean, we've covered it, but what'd you think of it?
Best movie of all time.
Get the fuck out of here.
Agreed.
No, I like this film a lot more. I think the first one, again, it's built up so much in the, like, I don't know.
We're a community.
Yeah, I was gonna say Community, but like almost like a pantheon, right? Like it's like up there with like all the classics. So it's not even just you guys or like the online community. It's like the whole zeitgeist of horror. And being called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you have all these ideas of what it's going to be like. And so it just didn't even come close to what I expected. And I was really disappointed. But this one, you guys were like, oh, it's totally different. It's ridiculous. It's bonkers. It's like, oh, yeah, that sounds right up my alley. So I was already kind of priming myself to be like, this is going to be insane nonsense. I'm going to love this. And I did. Like, it is insane nonsense. I did like this film.
What would you rate it?
That's difficult. I mean,
Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I would watch this again. Yeah. Not like right away. I'm not like in a big hurry to watch it again. But like I would definitely, I'd watch this again next year. Yeah.
Put it on the 31 or whatever if you were just doing it by yourself, or just like background.
Probably more
October
of a
movie.
Probably more of a background.
Yeah,
more
let's
like
pop it on.
like I've seen this, but like I want to catch a couple of those ridiculous, like the hemorrhoid scene. Or,
Your ears perk up with "Lick my plate, dog dick."
Yeah, exactly. Anytime I hear "lick my plate, dog dick," I probably put this in like a mid-60s, I guess. I don't know about an exact number.
That's fair.
Because like the effects are like pretty decent. They're not anything like whoa, but like they're good.
The budget's certainly more impressive than the first.
The budget's got to be triple, which isn't saying much. And again, I liked Stretch. We were talking earlier about other horror movie DJs, and she's my favorite so far.
I disagree with that, but
That's okay.
I do like Stretch, but I like the DJ in the Fog better.
Well, it's the only thing about the Fog you could like. So
Pretty much.
yeah, I don't know, probably like a 60, 63, 64 maybe. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, this one is, and I mean, I think this is how most people in the community would agree with this. Should not be seen as a sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's really like a whole different take on the same story, like a whole different route. Like if you're expecting just like a set sequel to the first one, it is not that. It's like
It's the same actor, same.
I know, but
director,
it's like
right?
it's like Tobe Hooper being like, okay, like I did that one, like let's do something very similar, but make it like real campy, like lots of fun.
Right, like the first one's a rough draft, and this is like a finished, polished product.
Well,
Whatever.
The first one is one of the best movies ever made, and the second one is
Really
a shit
fun.
ton of fun. And I mean that was on purpose, obviously.
It's so cool that it's Tobe Hooper too. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you get kind of like a lot
Because
of
there's
the
some nods to the original, which is fun. But man, and I'm like trying to struggle if I've even ever seen this until now, or if I have it's been a really long time because I kept waiting for oh yeah, I remember that, and it never came. I mean, I'd probably give this a 70. I mean, because just having Leatherface in it is points. And like the extra gore, and I was like laughing hard at some parts.
We're
as
laughing
you guys
pretty hard.
noticed, like some of this shit had me going. And yeah, like you said, the effects are pretty good, and yeah, it's a fun one. But I'm kind of surprised you said you would watch it next year, because I would watch it again, but I probably wouldn't in a year. I'd probably want to wait another 2.
It's fair.
or something. But very fun movie if you haven't watched it. Whether you're a fan of the first one or not, you should watch it.
Yeah, it's a completely
Because,
different
like,
experience.
case in point, Rob totally hated the first one and had a good time. Watch it with people, though. Maybe don't solo dome this. I mean, you could, but it's more fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's a shared, like, just the shared awkwardness and just the looks around the room when some of the shit that occurs in this movie or some of the lines are spoken, like, definitely heightens the enjoyment, I think. And if you are a fan of the first one, you might get some little extra tidbits out of it, but I don't know that those little extra tidbits would make it any more enjoyable unless you were
No.
just like an extreme fan of horror and you like the little nerdisms that you found in those nods. But I mean, as far as the continuity, it's minimal. And as far as, you know, definitely you don't need to come into this viewing with the knowledge of how the first film goes. I mean, you can pretty much
Yeah, not at all.
view this as a standalone. So if you've seen it or you haven't, doesn't really matter. If you liked it or you didn't, doesn't really matter. That's why I think it is so interesting that Tobe Hooper did direct this one. He also did the music. We were joking around about who did the music, but Tobe Hooper did the music. This, I think, is, when you look at these two films, it's best to view them independently, but there's also a lot of fun at looking at them side by side, because, early 70s, you've got kind of that, like, coming off like, you got to think about who Tobe Hooper was and where he came from. He's a film student at UT, probably grew up with some of, like, the drive-in and grindhouse type of horror movies and stuff like that as his influence, and he was really on the, like, front end of, like, another. I mean, horror always comes in waves in America, and we weren't quite to the American slasher period with Texas Chainsaw Massacre yet, but I mean, that being said, we'd also had Psycho, but we hadn't got quite to Halloween, and we certainly hadn't gotten to Nightmare on Elm Street, right, which is kind of in the 80s where we get this dose of, like, comedy, and maybe not Nightmare 1 or even 2, but by the time you get to, like, Nightmare 3 and Nightmare 4 and Freddy is, like, becoming his own
He's a ham.
entity, that's what's Nightmare 4 would have been out by 86, and so we're looking at this movie as something that's much more, like, reflective of the time that it came out in, I think, because you had, like, over the top, because, like, we've
It was
had
an 80s camp.
yeah, we've had years of Friday the 13th, years of Nightmare, and some other ones that have come out by this time, and so people who were familiar with the name, it's 13 years later though, might not have seen it or might not be fresh on it. They might not have expected a continuation of Texas Chainsaw, but they did expect a horror movie with Leatherface and chainsaws and some of the things they knew. But I feel like they still got a good dose of that 80s camp, like you said,
Yeah.
just like complete absurdity, and it's a whole hell of a lot of fun. I don't think really that, like, so there's two camps of people really in the Texas Chainsaw fandom. A lot of people consider the first one to be an absolute masterpiece, one of the fucking magnum opus, like, representations of the genre. I think Bill and I fall into that category. But there's a lot of people who not only prefer the second one, but think that the second one is one of the best horror comedies of all time. They think that this is equally as impressive. And I don't know if I'd go quite that far. I love it. It's a lot of fun. I definitely have seen it before. I'll definitely watch it again. I might not watch it every year. And I think that, I don't know, the last time I saw it was probably 3 years ago, and that was probably a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I'd give this, like, I don't know, 73, 74-ish. It's a lot of fun. I do like my horror to be a little more horrific. And if it's going to be, like, a horror comedy, I mean, this one's just a little too slapsticky and campy unless you're going to go all in. And I don't think it quite has the charm of, like, a Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness or even, like, Shaun of the Dead or something like this. It's like, it kind of struggles in its ability to find an identity there, but I think it's also ahead of its time in that sense too. So I don't know, a lot of fun. Super glad we watched it. I think it was much more enjoyable to watch it together. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it.
Right on. Do you know what we're watching next week, Rob?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what Underworld we're watching next week?
We're not watching Underworld.
Are we watching The Thirst?
We're not watching Thirst.
Vampire's Kiss?
We're not watching Vampire's Kiss.
Fright
Dracula.
Night 2.
We're not watching Dracula. We're not watching Fright Night 2. Just keep guessing.
Queen of the
We
Damned?
got time.
Fright Night remake.
We're not watching either of those.
Interview with a Vampire?
Nope.
What other horrible vampire movies are there? Oh,
Van
Twilight.
Helsing?
Nope.
New Dawn.
Nope.
Breaking Wind? That's one of them, right?
Nope.
I mean, Rob has been breaking wings.
Dude, like.
All right, what are we watching?
incessantly.
My bad. We are watching 30 Days of Night.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited for that, actually.
Yeah.
I like this movie. Have you seen it?
No,
Really?
I have not seen
I've
it.
seen it once.
I've seen this movie a decent amount of times, but it's been a few years, so
You do know that
Um,
if we would have kept guessing, that was gonna be
that
like
probably would
pretty
have.
soon.
No, I actually really like. Well, I'm not going to get into it. We'll get into it next week.
The
But
Save it for
whole
the pod.
the whole idea of
Yeah.
it is like it's a cool premise.
it's a very cool story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
there's fucking a lot of gore, and there's a lot of good gore.
there is, man. There's a lot of good gore. I will get into one thing. They like invented the vampire language for this movie, which I
Which is
love that
awesome.
stupid bullshit. Yeah, Josh Hartnett and I can't remember who the female lead is in, but we'll get into it next week.
Yeah,
Is
really
it Gloria
pretty.
Estefan?
No, it's a really pretty blonde lady.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. She. Yeah.
Ann Coulter.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, Ann Coulter, pretty.
Oh, well, she's a vampire.
Pretty white
She's a vampire.
She's
vampire.
an
True. Ann Coulter, if you're listening, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, we do not like you. We are not fans of you.
But
Unlike
keep
so
listening
many
because
other
we need to pump the numbers.
Horror podcasters, we
You-
do not like Ann Coulter.
You should totally blast us on all of your social media.
Oh
apps.
man, I know you
Talk
like to
about-
blast Ann Coulter.
Is that how we are gonna blow up? Or do we just start shitting on
Did you just say you're gonna blow up
Insecure?
Ann Coulter? You
Yep.
can't say that.
You
on
can't
there.
say that, man.
You can't say that.
We just keep talking shit about people and hopefully they'll talk shit about us on Twitter, and then we'll get views
And
from
we'll
that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, no such thing as bad press, right?
That's what I've heard.
So Ann Coulter.
Whoa. We do not support that message. And, well,
Well,
if it's about
Well, just Ann Coulter.
no.
No, that's.
No.
Well, okay. So
We're waffling, but it doesn't matter.
I'm blue waffling.
Watch this movie. It's way more my speed than the original. It's fun. It's got some good gore. It's a cool movie.
Cool movie.
Yeah, good pick.
Oh, thanks.
Good pick. Good dinner.
Yeah, really good dinner.
You're welcome. It was done on time.
I think that might be it.
Yeah.
That's all
Thanks,
I got.
Elmers.
Hey, Elmers. We can't do this without you. We want to just say we appreciate all the support. Keep sending us money on our Patreon. Keep
doing that, right?
keep sending us 8x10s of you and your family. You have our P.O. box.
Send us Christmas cards. We love Christmas,
I hate Christ.
but
Thank
we
you.
love Christmas.
Thank you.
Good night and good luck.
Good night, Elmers.
Yeah. Pull up with us, watch 2 films. Come on, watch 2 films. If you scared, don't come over here. 13th Elm.